no testimony without a test. I'm here 'cause he said I could be. He has wrapped his arms around me. My life is a testament.
It is said that little girls envision motherhood at a young age. From the nurturing their mom gives to them to playing with the baby dolls, they are preparing to be a mother. Growing up in a large family, I myself never had that vision. The vision I had was to live a life of freedom and travel the world to leave my mark on it. Your plans are sometimes not God's plans. For this testimony to go full circle, I have to go back to childhood just a little bit. Being the youngest of 3 sisters who are 5, 7, and 9 years older than me, I saw things I wasn't supposed to see. When I was 7, my mom went from being a housewife to a single mother of 4. The course of our entire life changed. My mom would now have to go to work, and my sisters would now be responsible for the home and looking after me. I would go everywhere they went, be around them and their friends, and see them grow into young women and try to emulate their actions. So let's fast forward to 1999.
I must tell someone about it. My life is a testament. I can't keep quiet just like Jesus. I was risen from the dead, I'm his child, just as he said. His love is greater than life's expectations. The shield of his grace is my protection. I thank you, Lord, I thank you. By your hands, we are here.
It's 1999, and all of my sisters have begun their own lives. I'm 15, turning 16 in September. So now it's just me, my mom, my brother who is 5, and my nephew who is also 5. But he's 5 months older than my brother. Yes, one of my sisters had a baby at 16. Teen pregnancy was common in my family. Now making my mother the caregiver of my nephew. But that's an entirely different testimony. Now the roles of my life are in reverse. I was now responsible for my nephew and brother, as my mom continued navigating being a single mother and woman. Remember, I wanted a life of freedom. So that's what I did. I freed myself to the streets. I wasn't up to being responsible for children I did not create. That may sound harsh, but I've always been smart and aware. By now, I have a boyfriend, and he has his own place, and from time to time, I would go stay with him. My homeless journey is another testimony that I have already told before driving you the news, and I'll retell it at another time. But let's fast forward to how I found out I was pregnant 3 days before my 16th birthday. I had just entered my sophomore year in high school. I was ranked number 32 out of 657 sophomores in my class. I was on track to be in the top 10% of my graduating class. Even though I was a street kid now, I was still determined to go to school and achieve greatness, as freedom was my choice. My mom would often go to the school and let them know that I ran away. The last time she came, we would have a session with the school counselor. In that session, my mom would express to the counselor that she believed I was sexually active. The counselor suggested she take me to the doctor and be aware of my sexual health. Well, my mom had my sister, the one that is 5 years older than me, take me to the health department that day. We went to the doctor, and lo and behold, I was pregnant. 8 weeks to be exact. I was in total disbelief, and my sister had a look of disappointment. As she was already a single mom of 2, and she always tried to teach me to be greater than her, I would now have to go live with my mom, as she wanted to make sure that I was okay. That situation only lasted about a month. My sister, who had already had my mom be the caregiver of her son, had now came back home. I was miserable, as I wanted freedom. Homecoming of 1999 comes, and I'm excited to go despite being 12 weeks pregnant. My sister and her friend are getting prepared to go, and I'm getting dressed to go with them. My mom noticed that I was preparing myself to go with them, and she asked, "Where do you think you're going?" I told her I was going to the game with my sister and her friend. She then told me I couldn't go. I wasn't comprehending why I couldn't go. I said to her, "What's the worst thing that can happen? I'm already pregnant." I must have struck a nerve, because then I was struck. A slight altercation happens, and I leave and go anyway. I am now back to what I call freedom. The weekend would go on, and I would resume my life of freedom. October 11th, 1999, I had a doctor's appointment, which I did not want to go to because I was preparing to take the PSAT the next day. I went to my doctor's appointment with my cousin, who is only 2 years older than me, as she had just had her second baby. Teen pregnancy was trending through my family. That doctor's appointment was for my first real ultrasound. The sonographer had a look in her eye that wasn't one of the usual responses when someone is showing a baby to their mother. I was told there was no movement of the baby, so she had me walk around and drink a little bit of water. We then proceeded to do the ultrasound. She didn't want to tell me, but she had to. My baby had no fetal heartbeat. I was actually okay with the results, as I didn't want to be a teen mom anyway. I was just being careless and reckless and thought I was exempt from anything of the sort, like teen pregnancy. I was scheduled to have a D&C for the next day. If you're not knowledgeable of what a D&C is, it stands for dilation and curettage, which is a procedure given to women who have had a miscarriage, ensuring that all of the fetus has been removed. I stayed the night with my sister, and she took me to have my procedure the next morning. I would never take that PSAT. I would go back to school and continue living my life of freedom. Almost a year goes by, and guess what? Yes, I'm pregnant again. This time I was thinking I may just be doomed to be a teen mom. I continued to go to school and be involved. I was in JROTC, and I was on the drill team. I also had a job. I was also with the guy that I would spend the next 7 years of my life with, unknown at the time. Everything just might be okay. I was supposed to go to military ball for December 17th, 2000. I chose not to go, as I now was in my own place and I had responsibilities. Well, that night, I went to work, where I was a waitress. My sister happened to come into the establishment that night and dine in. I went to the restroom, and I noticed I was spotting. I told the manager, and he allowed me to leave. My sister took me to the hospital. I called the father of my child, and he came to the hospital as well. They released me and said that I should follow up with my OBGYN the following morning. My boyfriend and I went home. I'm in a lot of pain, and after a couple of hours of us playing games trying to ease it, I began hemorrhaging. We went back to the hospital. Once we arrived, the only nurse on duty was my mom. As I was embarrassed and scared, she treated me just like a patient. It was determined that I had had yet another miscarriage. I was admitted into the hospital and scheduled to have another D&C the next day. This one was different than the first, as I was already prepared to be a teen mom, and my boyfriend was looking forward to being a first-time dad. We got through that together as a team through prayer. I would continue with life for the next 9 years, and at the age of 26, I would become a mother to a beautiful little girl born on November 1st, 2009, weighing 5 pounds, 13 ounces, 20 inches long, who I call Noodles. God protected me from being a teen mom, as he knew the life I was living, I would not be able to nurture a child. He broke that chain, so my daughter won't become a teen mom. Even though motherhood was not in my plan, it was in God's plan. So from that day forward, I vowed to be the best mother I could. Proverbs chapter 22, verse 6 states, "Train up a child in the way they should go, and when he is old, he will not depart." Hopefully, I'm honoring his word and raising my daughter to be a positive, productive member of society. It's all in his plan. There's no testimony without a test. I appreciate each of you for listening to my story, and hopefully it touches and reaches someone who is trying to break every chain, as it is possible.
There's no testimony without a test. I'm here 'cause he said I could be. He has wrapped his arms around me. My life is a testament. I must tell someone about it. My life is a testament. I can't keep quiet just like Jesus. I was risen from the dead, I'm his child, just as he said. His love is greater than life's expectations. The shield of his grace is my protection. I got a testimony, yes I do. For his favor has kept me through. He can do the same for you. Try him and watch what he do. I testify he is more than enough. You will make it through even when it's rough. Give him all the thanks and praise. Be blessed for the rest of your days. There's no testimony without a test. He has wrapped his arms around me. My life is a testament. I must tell someone about it. My life is a testament. I can't keep quiet just like Jesus. I was risen from the dead, I'm his child, just as he said. His love is greater than life's expectations. The shield of his grace is my protection. I thank you, Lord, I thank you.